This is the car we're on about today, the one I do get an awful lot of questions about. So let's jump in, we'll go for a drive, I'll tell you what I do and I don't like about the car. 33.7 miles per gallon, so it's not an economical car. I would imagine the newer car kills it with MPG. I've had the newer car, I've had the Ingenium engine car when this has been in for a service, and I think power wise they're fairly similar, around about 180, 190, torque levels around about 310, 320 for both. But this car does feel a little bit stronger. It feels like it has got a little bit more grunt. Maybe that's just down to the extra couple of hundred cc's. The bonus with this car, so the engine is the old one, the gearbox is the new one. In 2014, Land Rover put the new 9-speed ZF box in this car, and it's miles better than the old 6-speed. I think the 6-speed was a Ford unit, and all the way back then, and it was not a good gearbox. 9 speeds is fairly excessive. I don't really use the paddles and everything like that. I just drive in drive. It's not a particularly sporty car, this, despite having buttons everywhere and paddles to try and make it seem like it is. This is not a sporty car. It's just a smooth car to drive along in. The gearbox doesn't really, I've noticed it doesn't really use first gear. It doesn't really use 9th gear. So it's primarily a 7-speed box. It'll flick into 9th when you're on the motorway doing maybe 70 miles an hour. That tends to knock the revs down nicely. I think at 70 miles an hour you're barely even using 1500 RPM. So that's quite good. Makes it a nice refined cruise. The gearbox is great though. You know, we're driving here, we're just overtaking a slower car. It just shifts seamlessly. It's a very good car, this, for at 6 o'clock in the morning when I just want to get to work, drink my coffee. This car makes that such an easy task. So yeah, that is good. That is one of the things I like about this car. I like the heated seats. They warm up nice and quick. I like the air conditioning, works great. I think I've topped it up maybe a couple of years ago, but it still works perfectly well. I like the interior. I like the soft touch. I love the dash. I just love all the soft touch stuff about like that. I do like it as a place to be. I think it's quite nice. I had a Ford Cougar before this car, and this car was a big step up in terms of. That's better. Was a big step up in terms of interior quality. I know you pay a little bit more money, but you do get, there's a massive hole in the road here. Can't avoid it. I've got one rattle in this car, and it's from this overhead panel. I've tried to fix it 2 or 3 times. If anybody knows how I fix this rattle in this overhead panel, please let me know, because it really annoys me. Because apart from that, the car's got no other rattles. Nothing's broken, everything works, nothing looks like it's wearing out. The leather's still in great condition, the interior's still in good condition. The car's not done many miles. It stopped rattling now. What? It's so frustrating that I don't know. I've tried wedging bits in there, I've taken it off, I've tried wedging bits in, I've tried bending the clips back, and it just won't stop freaking rattling. It annoys the crap out. I do not like this panel here. It's not the sunglasses box, it's the bit that houses this car's got a panoramic roof, which is quite nice. I do like that. It's the bit that houses the switch for that. I think they're the speakers for the phone as well. So where was I? Yes, the interior. I do like all the soft stuff, all the soft touch stuff. It's quite a good car. You sit at quite a good level. The view out the front is good. The A-pillars aren't as bad as I thought they would be. The view out the back's okay. The rear window obviously on one of these is quite small. I'm coming on now to my biggest gripe about this car. This is the thing that I dislike about this car the most. Let's give it a little bit of performance as a car. I'll try the paddles. See, it just gets noisy when you... Whoa! Brakes are good though. Brakes are excellent. Car weighs, these cars weigh, they do weigh a little bit. They do have a full four-wheel drive system in these, so they're not like some of these faux mini 4x4s that are all front-wheel drive. This car weighs 1,670 kilograms, so I mean, it's not heavy. It's not a 2-ton car. I mean, a lot of cars are that now, aren't they? Even performance cars are that heavy now. But the brakes are more than capable. Huge 20-inch wheels on this, so they've got plenty of space to put some big discs and calipers behind, and they definitely did that. The brakes on these are excellent. I was getting to the bit that I don't really like. The one thing about these cars is, I'm not into performance SUV. I like an SUV, I like a higher up driving position. I'm not into these as a performance vehicle. So why it has paddles here and it has S for sport, and it has, I press this button here and it goes into something called dynamic mode, which does nothing. It doesn't become dynamic, it just remains as a Range Rover. The four-wheel drive system on this car though, as you'd expect probably from a Land Rover product, the four-wheel drive system in this car is very, very, very good. I've never found myself in this car wanting for any grip, for any traction. You don't get that, you never get that heart in the mouth moment when you hit puddles. You never, the stop-start works quite well too. Yeah, the four-wheel drive is very safe, it's very secure, it's very predictable, it's very good. The four-wheel drive system in this car does make it very easy. The grip does make it very easy to drive. So, back home now, and I guess the question is, would I, if a friend, family member said, these Evoques, they're down to a reasonable price now. This car's probably hovering around the £20,000 mark now, given that, you know, a Fiesta can cost you that now. They're good value for money. They're fully equipped. They have obviously the Land Rover abilities. Would you buy one at this age? Well, there's one elephant in the room in this car which I haven't discussed. There's one elephant in the room. This car has a serious fault on it. This model of car has a serious fault on it, and it's to do with the steering rack. It's well documented on the various Owners Club forums. The steering rack is held in place with 3 bolts, and the bolts corrode. They're made from mild steel, and the bolts corrode and they snap. When that happens, the steering goes. Now, if you know, then what you do is you get your car recovered to Land Rover and it's fixed on failure, free of charge. If you know that, it should really be a recall. There's a big petition at the moment to get this car, to get that recall to happen. Jaguar Land Rover are dragging their feet in it because I don't think it's a cheap, quick or easy repair. If you didn't know that it was covered under fix on failure, it would cost you £3,000 at a Land Rover dealer. That is the elephant in the room with this model of car. The other problem with it is it's a bit like the Porsche scenario with scored bores and failed IMSs. You just don't know if it's going to happen. I've seen cars which are older than this with 3 times the mileage and they're still going strong, no problem. I've seen cars much younger than this with half the mileage of this, and they've had to have the steering bolts, column bolts replaced. So you just cannot legislate for it. So with that in mind, the experience I have of this car, it hasn't happened on this car, touch wood. I shouldn't be saying all these good things because I'm putting the curse on it, but you need to know, people need to be aware. So this car is fine. If I didn't have that in the back of my mind, I would say forget what you hear on the internet, because it can be sensationalized, and older Land Rovers, Range Rovers, yes, they were naff, but times move on, things improve, and the Evoque does seem to be a relatively usable, reliable, safe, able to run on a sensible budget car. But it does have that Achilles heel. So I don't have a warranty. I'm comfortable enough to drive this car without a warranty. It just gets standard servicing, and that's not going to change. However, I do have recovery, because I think it's a question of not when, but if the steering rack problem is going to occur. If it doesn't, great, but I'd say you need to be prepared. If you're buying a car at this age, it's worth checking the service history. Great, they'll probably all have service history at this level, but you need to check. I don't think there's been I can't remember any recalls on this car, but you need to check. If one hasn't had the steering rack bolts replaced and the other has, then I would personally go for the one that has. It doesn't mean that the other is going to need them, but it's just peace of mind, isn't it? It's peace of mind. If they were changed on this car, I would even sack off the recovery, but they're not. And I live beside the coast, so I live in a corrosive environment. We've ended on a bit of a low. Anyway, thanks for watching. I think it's a great car. I still think it looks good. If you like it, give us a thumbs up. If you can share it, even better. And if you can hit subscribe, that would be good. We'll try and get a few more reviews. I'm off to do a few bits and bobs on the Mazda now. The sun is still out. Signing off. Keep washing those hands. Stay safe.